Chapter 7, Whiskers returns home. Whiskers returns home disappointed after not being able to find a proper lioness mate. That didn't stop Thomas White from confronting him for being a massive hypocrite, which is quite fitting for one of the very cubs Whiskers stole to be the one who listens to him the most of them all. Thomas begins his explosive rant.
Well, you decided to go against the very rules you laid bare. You decided to say, fuck us. Now we can't find our real families. You decided to proverbially say, forget us. Now the few family members we knew would find us forgot what our names even are now. And you didn't even bat an eye. You think love is the longest story ever told before you die. Yet you try to comb the desert and bookmark the place you passed the opportunity to have it been told to you. That you can't attract a bookmark to a door?
Thomas decides to claw his way through taking Whiskers' favorite tree down, something he admired and reminded himself of his own existence. Whiskers, throughout Thomas's entire tirade, remained eerily silent. The other cubs were giggling at how Whiskers is just taking what little Tom is telling him, sitting down. Whiskers rips out a huge fart. The hilarity ensues. Before Whiskers can bother getting his sorry ass up off the ground, Thomas continues.
And then you sit down there like you have a 10-foot pole up your ass, whilst having to piss yourself silly after thinking about how a real white lioness can see how tiny a dick must be to be half as bright as a light bulb. And you think you can take me out like you can light a match? Well, you light yourself on fire, and it bothers you. That match can very well be you right now, Whiskers.
The four other cubs in the background guffaw, wheeze really hard, and vibrate themselves unconscious from excessive laughter. A few hours later, they woke back up after Whiskers got right back to sleep, never really responding to Thomas's pot shots at him. The morning after, the four other cubs walk up to Thomas, honoring him for his bravery, witty nature, and quippy rant. But before they can continue the conversation, something brutal happens again. Chapter 8, Whiskers confronts the second cub. Finally, Whiskers gets his ass off the ground the day after Tom verbally stunned him, finally yelling at Tom while Thomas was silent, standing still and on the verge of pissing on the ground. Whiskers goes,
I can't fucking believe that you have the audacity to talk about my dick whilst you're a cub. I never knew that there would have ever been such a thing as a predatory minor. This is the most unthinkable thing I believe beyond the shadow of a doubt I've ever heard anybody, let alone a cub himself, say about me. Why would you verbally and sexually harass me? I am not a pedophile. I swear to God, if you say one more tittering fucking word, I will eat you. Do you understand?
Thomas gulps and says his final words before his death.
If I'm no match for you, I'm no match for this world.
Whiskers then proceeds to kill him, long before he would be eaten in the next chapter. Unlike Luca's death, Thomas's death was premeditated. Chapter 9, the second cub gets eaten by Whiskers. Now, after all the arguing and fucking around, Whiskers decides to slaughter Thomas White, skin him, and then eat him whole. The other cubs screamed and ran away in horror as they could hear Thomas screaming for his life right before he died. Thankfully, none of the other cubs got another cub's blood onto them like last time with Luca. Whisker then shouts,
Nobody makes fun of my penis!
After watching Whiskers eat Thomas for 20 minutes, the cubs were so terrified they fell asleep for 48 hours. Whiskers went back to sleep after that. The cubs wake up 2 days later to do what they did last time when Luca died. Chapter 10, the four other cubs begins to cry loudly as they grabbed the skeleton of Thomas White to the hyenas. Instead of playing out a funeral, the hyenas were curious on why they were crying. Hyena 1 goes, I wonder why you all are crying about what happens to another one of you. Abby goes,
Because he's the bravest one of us all, but now he's dead.
Hyena 2 goes,
Wow, now that's fucked up. Why did Whiskers do this to poor Thomas?
And Bruce goes,
Because he made fun of his tiny dick.
Hyena 1 and 2 goes, okay then, that's a little ballsy for a cub like him, let alone you. The hyenas then proceed to laugh and run away with the tiny skeleton of Thomas White, a cub too brave for his own good. The cubs then stopped crying and went right back to sleep, while Whiskers wakes up and goes on another hunt for more cubs this time. Chapter 11. Whiskers confronts the third cub. So, it comes down to this precise moment in the story that Whiskers confronts the third cub, and the third cub he confronts is Bruce White. But let me tell you what led up to this moment. Bruce pulled the same shit Thomas did earlier. Not just that, but copied what he said word for word. A few days later, back to the moment we're at now, Whiskers repeats himself, saying the same thing he said to Thomas after killing him.
Nobody makes fun of my penis!
Finally, the unthinkable happens.